Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We are very proud to have Dr. Greenberg here from University Hospital Medical Center, a 35-year veteran of this hospital and a wonderful doctor who is going to answer some questions for us today because we know there's a lot of concern about COVID and the reopening of our cities and our county and how it affects you. So hopefully this will make you have a little more comfort knowing that you can go outside and participate in activities safely, of course. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
So what would you tell people who are having medical issues at home? Are they safe to come into the emergency room?
That's a great question. And I'm going to give you a little anecdotal story from last week. I had a 93-year-old woman who nearly fainted at home the week before. Called her doctor, who gave her the advice, whatever you do, don't go to the hospital. If you go to the ER, you're going to die. So she sat at home for 6 days and finally got in to see the cardiologist. By the time she saw her cardiologist, diagnosed her with complete heart block. She had a heart rate of 28 beats a minute. Her pacemaker, which had been in for 6 years, had failed. And the truth is, she would have died at home. She's lucky that her 28 beats a minute sustained her. So what we're actually seeing, and not just in Tamarack, but on a national level, the cardiac arrest patients at home is up over 118%. That's nationally. The dead on arrival at home when the paramedics get there and they've been dead is up over 120%. So unfortunately, patients are so afraid to come to the hospital that they're either dying at home or they're suffering strokes with permanent disability or heart attacks with permanent disability or ruptured appendix. And they come in too late. So people are really afraid to come to the hospital. It's actually one of the safest places to come.
And this is not to scare you. This is to encourage you to take care of your health. COVID-19 is out there, but you're taking your precautions. So we need you to take care of your health by coming in. So if you would, doctor, if I come into the emergency room and I need to be admitted, what kind of precautions from COVID is the hospital doing so people can feel safe if they come in?
That's a great question. So the ER itself is cleaned like it's never been cleaned before. Every room is turned over and sprayed down, wiped down with anti-infective solutions. Every person in this hospital is wearing a mask at all times. In the ER, not only we're wearing masks, we're wearing goggles, we're wearing face shields, gowns if needed, gloves at all times. As well as all the ancillary staff. So you're not going to come into the ER and be in front of someone who's not with a mask or gloves. That's number one. Number two, if you're getting admitted, we actually have a COVID floor. So we're not integrating patients on the same floor. If you're sick enough, you go to the ICU and they're all private rooms, very well protected. Otherwise, if you're not that sick and you do have COVID and you're under suspicion for COVID, you're going to go to the COVID floor, and those patients are isolated from everyone else. It's a safe place to come. I think it's much safer than Publix. I think it's a lot safer than going to restaurants. It's a very well protected area.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And at this time, I'm going to switch out and let Commissioner Fishman come in. She has some questions to ask you as well, but we are trying to make sure that we do the proper social distancing and protocol. So give me a second, and
Okay.
in comes Commissioner Fishman.
Hi, Dr. Greenberg.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good. So, when I'm out in public, what other safety precautions can I take besides wearing a face covering?
Okay. So, I think at this time, and we're still unfortunately not out of the woods. So even though the trend is definitely downward, I still think there's isolated patients with COVID. And unfortunately, most people contract COVID from an asymptomatic person. So it's not like you walk up to someone, they're fever, they're coughing. They're asymptomatic for sometimes 2 to even 10 days before they come down with symptoms. So those are the people you have to be worried about. So I think we still need to maintain social and physical distance. I think you still need to have a mask on. I think you need to wash your hands like you've never washed them before. and just be very, very vigilant of where you are and who you're next to.
Thank you. And there's a concern about using elevators right now. And can you address that?
I can address it, and it's a difficult question because we're learning on a day-to-day basis of this virus because it's not like anything we've seen before. And some of the new reports are indicating that droplets may actually stay in the air for upwards of 8 minutes. So if you're getting in an elevator and someone just coughed in the elevator, that's why you need a mask. You definitely need a mask. You need to protect yourself. So I would say if you're on the 2nd floor and you could take the stairs, I would take the stairs. If you're on the 6th floor, you're probably gonna need, I take elevators. So, we have 5 floors in this hospital, and if I have to go upstairs to an emergency, I'm taking the elevator. But I'm wearing my mask.
Very good. The face covering is the most important thing.
Yes.
What about wearing your face covering when you're outside in nature and exercising or just walking around?
So I'm going to tell you what I do. And listen, I'm over 60. I know I don't look it. But I'm in the high risk category. Right. So when I'm outside, if I'm walking in a crowd, I'm going to have a mask on. If I'm out in the field or away from people, I'm going to take my mask off. I think you have to use common sense. If you're going to be within 6 feet of somebody, I would have a mask on. But I think it's safe to go out for walks if you're walking with your husband, your wife, your children, your dog, and you're walking down the street. I think it's all right not to have a mask on. If you look like you're going to come up, and I went down to Miami to see my daughter, who unfortunately I haven't seen that much lately, but we wore bandanas around our neck. We went for a nice walk along A1A, and when we got close to someone, we put the bandana up, and when we walked by, we took it down. This is what we have today. This is what we have to deal with. So protect yourself, but don't go crazy. I think we still need to live our lives.
Right, and this will become our new normal for a while.
It's unfortunately, yes, this is our new normal.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time with us and answering some of the questions that we've gotten as elected officials from our residents, because it's important to share the correct information, not disinformation.
Right. And I think, again, the most important thing is if people have an emergency, don't stay at home.
Right.
If you're having chest pain, if you're having stroke symptoms, if you're short of breath, you need to come to the hospital, because if you have something that's more serious, you could either die at home or get too sick and have some kind of permanent disability. And unfortunately, that's what's happened. We've seen a lot of patients who had a ruptured appendix a week ago where they didn't want to come to the hospital, or the lady with a complete heart block. So we're here, we're safe. Hopefully you stay safe and don't need us, but if you need us, come in.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We greatly appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you. Be safe as well.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
And as of right now in this hospital, can you tell us how many people have been tested for the past 3 months? How many people have tested positive? And
Sure.
then how many we currently have in our hospital?
Okay, so probably since the beginning of this, we've tested a little over 600 patients. Positive cases, I believe, are 58. Currently, we have 4 patients in the hospital at this time.
Thank you very much for that.